Namaste everyone, this is Avanti Nagral and you are watching Vh1 Pop Curry Rice. I think it's a very diverse set of influences. My late Guruji, Dr. Prabhatre, was definitely one of the biggest influences on my life. I learned Hindustani classical music from her under the Kirana Gharana tradition. And I also grew up doing a lot of church and gospel music and Broadway style singing. So very different backgrounds. I think from a listening perspective, a lot of really strong female voices ranging from, your Whitney Houston to Mariah Carey to Kelly Clarkson, Demi Lovato. I think just learning from everybody I listen to has been my go-to. I always knew I wanted music to be a huge part of my life. It's been my companion ever since I was very young. And I was around 15 years old when I had a major medical incident. I basically lost vision completely in my left eye because of a brain virus. And it was a very scary time, but the only thing that got me through it was music. And it was the one thing that, despite my brain being affected, my memory being affected, my vision being affected, it's the one thing that I knew. And the one thing that was still core to who I was. So I think from that moment onwards, I knew that I wanted music to be a huge part of my life. The professional aspect came much later. I think along the way, I started writing music. I started my professional performing career actually in the theater space. I used to do a lot of theater in India and globally. And I think just being on stage and connecting with people is what is core to me. And as an artist, it's about that. It's about community, it's about storytelling, and it's about being able to use and express with your voice in all the ways possible. I think I would want the title to be something vague, but still interesting, like building and breaking, maybe building bridges and breaking barriers or something like that. And in terms of the actor, I would love to play myself, but if that were not possible, I think from the current crop of actors, it would be really interesting if it were, say, a Bollywood remake. I would like to have Alaya F play the role. I think that would be really interesting. Okay, so The Long Way would be a plane, because it's a song about going the long way, quite literally, for love. Suntolo would be an ear. Give Up would be the healed heart emoji. And the end would actually be, hear me out. It would be like a baby chick, because sometimes the end represents a new beginning. I'm obsessed with theme parks and roller coasters, so let's see. I have an EP called Double Standards, and I think it would be really cool to have one of those, almost like a maze, where depending on which part you go down, you get sent down a new path. We have an album called Quarter Life Crisis, so I would love to have this whole coming of age section where you maybe start out with bumper cars to represent the bumpy roads of life, and maybe you walk through like a mirror maze to try to see yourself more clearly. Then you probably go down the wackiest roller coaster that we would probably call Life's Loop. To just know that even though it might be a circuitous ride, you'll make it to the end, whatever that means for you. Honestly, I think I write a lot of my songs as if I'm writing to a younger version of myself. There's one song in particular called Imperfect. The verse literally starts out saying, I get insecure, I point out all my flaws. It's like I'm waiting for somebody else to solve all my problems that aren't problems. Tired of keeping score, can't do it anymore. And it talks about, I put on my makeup, I wish I could break up with the girl that doesn't love herself. And it's really that journey of self-discovery. I think as a teenager, there was a lot that I was trying to learn about myself and a lot of insecurities that I think get projected and amplified by society standards. So I would use that as a starting point and just say, hey, everybody's imperfect. And that's the whole point. You can't be porcelain like a magazine. You're not a doll in a dress. You're a human. You're living, breathing, and your body serves more than just what you look at. It's who you are. So I'd use those lyrics, and yeah, I would also use the lyrics "Suntolo," which just means please listen, but listen to yourself and what your gut is saying. I think a lot of people think pop means frivolous, and it's not real music because it's typically meant to be more commercial or accessible. But if you think about it, it's honestly a really difficult art form, because to make something complex and distill it into a simple, easy melody or something soulful that connects with a larger group of folks is really, really difficult. I personally love pop music, and I think a lot of people assume that it's not complicated enough musically, but that's the beauty, right? It can exist in many different forms. And also pop music is such a vague term, because when I was growing up, a lot of pop was a lot of electronic EDM sounds, right? Over the last few years, it's been more hip hop sounds. And now I would say the wave is actually merging a lot of global sounds together. So that wave keeps changing, and it's just about doing what feels right to you. I think the biggest misconception people have is with actually more than the word pop, the word indie, right? When you think of indie, some people think of a sound where it's this more homegrown singer-songwriter sound, but any indie artist is actually just an independent artist who is not signed to a label, who is building their own career from scratch, or at least is seed funding their own career and owns their own masters. So I think it's just important to recognize that difference. But yeah, pop music is cool, and to anybody who thinks that they are too cool to listen to it, I want to know what you listen to in the shower. I think it's less about the location, more about the setting, right? So I think I've typically done a lot of my last work on the go, on the road. I think the next body of work, it'd be really nice to find a space that's a little bit outside of a city, maybe a home or a villa where I'm with my collaborators for, say, a week or two, and just really zoning into the craft and the music. So that can be anywhere. If anyone has suggestions, please let me know. I'm happy to do that in Bombay or India or elsewhere. There are genuinely so many. I think one that really stands out is I was at an event. I wasn't even performing at this event, but this person knew that I would be there. He came up to me, this young boy, around 17 years old, and he had brought a handwritten letter with him that was 4 pages long, and also some homemade gajar halwa, because he had seen me talk somewhere about really loving carrots, so he requested his grandma to make gajar halwa. And essentially he told me that our music and the things that we stand for and what we talk about had changed his toxic masculinity loop, because he said that he grew up around a lot of male influences that were, strongly rooted in patriarchy. And I think for him, when he discovered our work, he basically felt like he had almost an internet older sister. And as an older brother to a younger sister, he, in his opinion, felt like our songs and what we said helped him develop this sense of empathy toward her. And it really just, it made me feel so grateful. And as an older sister in real life to a younger brother, that makes me feel so happy to know that it's something that, something as small as something you sing, something you say can really impact how somebody might think about something. And in his letter, he actually said that he used our song Permission to explain consent to his younger sister. And yeah, I think that moment stayed with me for a very long time. And he keeps reaching out and checking in. And now he's fully in college, about to graduate, so it makes me feel really proud. I honestly don't think Indian artists are getting the recognition that they truly deserve. I think the genres that are, which is amazing, is of course film music, which has for a long time. And it's amazing to see that it's not just Bollywood, but also from different regional parts of India. I think Punjabi music is getting its moment, but typically still for a lot of male artists. I think there's incredible female artists that still deserve the spotlight and deserve the same kind of recognition. I think it's hard to categorize Indian music as a whole, right? Because we have so many languages, so many styles, so many genres. So I think it's more about celebrating that diversity and showcasing what each space and each region has to stand for. I do think that part of the reason that we are not receiving that kind of global recognition is because we don't prop our artists up ourselves within our own country. There's so much more infrastructure that needs to be built to have proper artist development, to really support that from the ground up, because talent is boundless. We have some of the most talented people I have seen in the entire world. And I just think that there's more infrastructure, more performing spaces, more platforms like Vh1 that need to exist to be able to showcase the true talent and diversity we have.